Adam, this is awesome. You tried out for the Min-Aqua Bats.
Yeah, and I'm going to find out why I didn't make it.
It's showtime. This is The Ski Show, the ultimate show ski podcast, and your one and only source for all things show skiing, bringing you news, knowledge, and interviews with the legends and stars of our sport. Here are your hosts, Matt Heilman and Adam Schaller.
Welcome to The Ski Show, the only media on the planet dedicated to the great sport of show skiing. Today is one of Adam's favorite episodes as we dive deep with Duke Hillinger to learn all about the amazing history of the Min-Aqua Bats.
Yes, and today's sponsor is Flyman Skis, custom-made jump skis and Featherboard swivel skis at affordable prices. Get yours at flymanskis.com.
Adam, it's May. Ski season's almost here in the north. It's crazy.
Yeah, we on our team we use Team Snap for communication, and we just got some emails that their open practices have been set up. And I'm getting text messages from the stage crew like, "Are we having practice on Sunday at the open practice?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess, yeah. This here it is. Yeah, I guess we're having practice." Man,
yeah, it's crazy. It's like all of a sudden, I mean, it feels like forever ago we had the award show, which was only early March, and we're early May. It was only 2 months ago, to when we're recording this, and now it's already summer. We're already here.
Time flies.
Yep. You ready for that summer competition season? Stage crew theme ready to rock?
I think we did a pretty good job in the off season kind of getting things ready to go, but as much as you prep, there's still always kind of this like crazy push at the beginning of all this kind of last minute stuff. And so, are we ready? Yeah. Do we need to practice? Absolutely. Do we have a lot of other stuff to get ready? Of course. But we're off to a good start.
I think the show directors are feeling that pinch a little too, like talking to Jack and Abby and Cody, like the pull and tug of work that needs to be done and desire to get on the water, like boats to be rigged, docks to put in, jump anchoring, all of the things that need to go this time of year that you're like, oh crap, it's already on us. Like time got away from
Sneaks
us a
up
little
on you.
bit, and now it's like we want to start skiing. Let's go.
Yep. Weather's nice. It's time to yeah. So much to do.
Well, good stuff. Well, let's dive into this week's show ski trivia. Adam, you ready for this?
No, but go ahead.
Of course you're not. No, we're gonna go ahead anyway. I'm gonna ask you what was the first water ski show. Do you know when the first water ski show was? And if you don't know that, that's okay because our guest is going to talk a little bit about that. But the first water ski show tournament, do you know when that was?
Well, what are you asking me? The first water ski show or the
I'll
first water ski show tournament?
So the Min-Aqua Bats were we're going to talk about today. They're the first show club in Wisconsin, traced back to the 50s. Show skiing began in the 20s and 30s. Let me ask you this. What was the first water ski show tournament?
Do
you know when that was?
No. Was it in the 60s?
It was.
Okay. So, and was it Wisconsin State?
It was.
Okay.
And it was. So this is a great story. So it was 1967, Wisconsin State, and it was so loosey-goosey. Like Jack Lukes wrote the first set of rules and procedures for an organized show. A tournament announcement was sent out to clubs. It was a one-pager telling when and where the tournament would be, and then outlining some requirements. And I quote from the tournament announcement, "When selecting your acts, use these facts. The show course is primarily circular with a diameter of 100 yards and average depth of 5 feet. you can gain up to 30 points for your adaptability to the site. So that, like, there's some rules rolling, and then, you know, a handful of clubs signed up. So the first tournament, 7 clubs showed up to the first Wisconsin State tournament in 1967.
1967, first tournament. All right. So, Matt, when was the first ski show?
Yeah,
Do you know
so
this?
First, I don't know exactly. It was like the 20s or 30s.
Well, this is
out
just
east.
from
It was out east.
Yes, this was from my research because this is actually in our show this year. Because we're at school, we're in school, and so 1928.
Yeah,
Atlantic City Steel Pier in New Jersey.
Yeah, I was gonna say New Jersey.
Yep.
So the first nationals was 1975. So the first state was 67. Nationals was 1975. That was organized by the Rock Aqua Jays in Janesville in 75. So that was cool. So we got, you know, some basic history and how the sport has grown since then. You know, 7 clubs showed up to the first one.
Right.
It's been going on every year since. And then we've got national. Now, do you know who won the first state?
No, I have no idea.
The Skiing Skeeters.
The Skiing Skeeters.
Yeah.
And where were they from?
Gotta be northern Wisconsin. I have no idea. I should know this.
I think there's a
1968, the Min-Aqua Bats won the second in 1968.
Okay.
And the Quahomets won in 69 and 70. And there was a tie in 1971 between the Quahomets and the Min-Aqua Bats.
Do you think do you think this community would stand for a tie these days?
No. Good
How would that go
way. Over? Yeah. 1972, our home club, the Capital City Ski Team, won their first state championship in 1972.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, you got a lot of these old teams. The Hodags won in 73. Rhinelander Hodags.
Yeah.
Chain Skimmers won in 76. Yeah, this is cool stuff. So there you go. A little bit of show ski trivia for this week. Before we get to today's interview, Adam, let's chat a little bit about Flyman Skis.
Yeah, Matt, ski season in the north is almost here, and many of you already have gotten your new Flyman skis. They are churning out jump skis and featherboard swivel skis. One of my favorite things about them is that they are customizable.
Yeah, that's right. Your daughter, Annika, had her swivel ski custom designed. 2 of my kids, Jack and Riley, both had custom-made skis, jump skis, and featherboard swivel skis. The design process is so fun, but more than that, our kids love skiing on them. The product is awesome.
Yeah, these skis are made by skiers for skiers. So many skiers have made the change to Flyman Skis, and you should too. Get yours at flymanskis.com. That's flymanskis.com.
Well, let's get to today's interview. Today we have on the show Duke Hillinger. He is here to talk to us all about the history of the Min-Aqua Bats. He's got a vast history. He's been in the club himself for decades. And we're going to talk all about the legacy, the stories, the famous people, the tradition that makes the Min-Aqua Bats one of America's most famous institutions. Let's welcome to the show Duke Hillinger. Hey, Duke.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on.
Awesome.
Well, let's get right into it. I'm excited about this. I'm a huge Min-Aqua Bat fan going way back to when I was 10 years old. Duke, tell us a little bit how and when did the Min-Aqua Bats start?
Well, it's a really unusual story. The Min-Aqua Bats actually, during World War II, you could not water ski from sometime in 1939 through 1945. Literally 5+ years, there was no water skiing in the United States. Why? There was gas rationing. The Germans had taken over all of the Middle East and South America. We were without oil. The whole world was in an oil gas rationing craze. So it was $100 fine if you got caught water skiing or pleasure boating. Now, if you're going out to catch sustenance, if you're going out to fish, you could do that. But pleasure boating, nobody pleasure boated for over 5 years. On September 2nd, 1945, now we had bombed Japan pretty mercilessly in the beginning of August. Couple bombs, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, did not go well for them. Went really well for us. So on the 15th of August, there was we're going to stop bombing. You guys got to sign an armistice, a peace agreement, da-da-da-da-da. That happened on the night of September 1st, 1945, here. It was in the Pacific. It was 9 o'clock in the Pacific. They partied like rock stars on that day. I mean, they lit it up. I know they did because people told me about it, 80 years ago.
Yeah,
and,
the war was over.
Yeah, so the war is over. And so what happened was they're raising a glass or two or 20, and they said, we're going to ski tomorrow morning. Everybody, let's meet down what is now the Thirsty Whale. We're going to meet right down there. We're going to start skiing at dawn. Well, they did it, and they skied. There was a whole bunch of them. There was 10, 15 of them that started skiing, and now a crowd is formed. And they've been skiing all day long. At noon, they passed the first bucket on September 2nd, 1945. The first bucket was passed at the Aqua Bowl. And again, the Aqua Bowl didn't exist. It was a sandy beach. It's still there right next to the Thirsty Whale. And they skied all day long from sun up to sundown. And that's how the Minocqua skiers started. Now, so for 4 more summers, they started doing shows on Sundays, and then it was Wednesdays and Sundays, and it was totally an amateur thing. And they were really, in year 2, let me say, so they're getting more and more of a crowd coming. And again, there is the Cypress Gardens water ski show, but there is no other water ski show. Tommy Bartlett has not started yet. So 1950, September 2nd is the start. They skied a couple more Sundays. The next year comes around. They are doing shows, and they're raising money. And Judge Stone says to Pat Stone Sr., an original Minocqua, he says, you guys better form a 501c3, because if you don't, you're going to get into trouble. Somebody's going to get hurt, and I don't want my boat being used. If you're going to get in trouble, there's going to be... So they decided on the fall of 49 that they were going to do a 501c3, and they were coming up with I still don't know who came up with the name. They were the Minocqua Ski Club, the Minocqua Skiers. On 49, they came to an agreement. The 20-some members of the club at that moment, they became the Min-Aqua Bats on January 1st, 1950. This is the 75th summer of Min-Aqua Bat water ski shows. We start in 50. That's year 1. Do the math. Yeah. This is year 75. Everybody keeps saying, oh, it's 74 years. No, it's 75 as the Min-Aqua Bats, and 80 since we started. That's it.
So you were the first club in Wisconsin, ski show.
The first club in Wisconsin, the first amateur water ski show in the world.
And only the second show behind Cypress.
Right. And again,
okay.
Many of our guys go down and ski at Cypress. Now, one of our best known teams from that time, again, and back in the day, there was slalom skiing, jumping, trick skiing, and doubles at National. People like, what? Yeah, there was doubles water skiing was part of Nationals. So in 52, we had the 4-event Nationals in Minocqua. We didn't have a clubhouse. We had a dock and some put-up bleachers, and we're lucky we had a jump. We actually had to make a new jump because the original jump that we had was not to spec. So we had to, and then they changed it and turned the direction so that it was going with the wind. I don't know why. I always like to jump into the wind, but that's, who knew? So 52, we have the 4-event Nationals at Minocqua, and Tom and Jane Dorwin competed there, and they did a brother-sister team. They did a really fine job, and they are the first ones to do the skater flip-up. Up until that time, people had used, the stirrup grip, like when you're building a pyramid, you put the stirrup down and everybody climbs up. That's how everybody did it. So we were the first ones to do the skater flip. We still do the skater flip up every show. So, because both skiers have their own rope. That's why you do the skater flip up, and then she puts her rope through the middle of the yoke of the male skier. So the 52 nationals, they competed. I don't think they finished in the money. I think they were 4th or 5th. But they go to the nationals at LaPorte, Indiana in 56, and they set it afire. How did they do that? Well, they came through on their third pass on doubles, and they came through barefooting. The first people to ever come to water ski barefoot in an AWSA were Tom and Jane Dorwin. And the kicker is Jane steps off first. The first person to ever ski barefoot in an AWSA was a girl, Jane Dorwin, and Tommy held her hand as they came through. But I'm telling you, those kind of things, they had their own comic book. It's 25 pages. I should have sent you clips of that. I apologize. I'll do it in a few.
Well, you still can. I bet the crowd had to.
But again,
did the crowd lose their mind? Like
they
when
did not know. Again, in Lynn Novakofski,
it's 1956, and they're doing doubles, which people had seen at nationals, and they were one of the top doubles couples in the nation. But then they come through barefooting. People had to lose their minds at that time.
From what I was told, it was people were just standing up and making the noise. Yeah. I mean, it was and then as they came in, there was a standing ovation that lasted 3 minutes, and they won nationals. They won the nationals title. So that was one of our first big nationals. Now, right after that, Lynn Novakofski, who's another one of our best known skiers, he's becomes a Min-Aqua Bat in 59, and I think he skied 6 or 7 years, and Lynn is a great water skier. His brother Jan also skied with us. They lived behind the Aqua Bowl. So you get up, get out of bed, and roll down to the Aqua Bowl. So, I mean, you don't even have to get in the car. You can literally just walk there, and again, it's 210 feet. So Lynn loved the Min-Aqua Bats and was such a huge part. Again, I believe he was show director. I don't think he was ever president. But he went and did some time in the service. The Aqua Bowl was dedicated to veterans. We lost one of our original members in the Korean conflict. It was a helicopter crash. He was a paratrooper, and actually, I don't think he died in service, but on his way to it. But Lynn did his time. Again, a lot of vets in the Min-Aqua Bats. The Aqua Bowl is now dedicated to all veterans, was rededicated when we did the new clubhouse in 73. My first real year. I skied in 71 in the Badger Open and at State, but I had not joined yet. I was only 11 that summer. So I joined at 13. Getting back to Lynn. So Lynn, after the war, goes down to Florida and starts skiing at Cypress Gardens. And not long after that, he was made head of skiing operations. And I want to say that he was at Cypress Gardens for 32 years. And then SeaWorld buys it out, and then he goes and heads up their SeaWorld in San Diego. But I want to say he's got 35 plus years as running a ski show. And in 75 nationals that were here in Tomahawk, which is just 27 miles south of us here in Minocqua, we had the 3-event nationals, and Lynn brought up old doubles harnesses, tutus, some ski rigs, some quick release harnesses, and because we were doing the old doubles thing that we've been doing since Tom and Jane Dorwin, and he says, you guys got to start doing strap doubles and strap trio, and he was even like, we could do strap pyramid. I brought 5, and people are like, well, let's just start slow. But we started doing strap doubles. Harlan Bosecki and Alice Pisecki became our first doubles champions in 75. Again, the Min-Aqua Bats have had a lot of great skiers through the years that have actually competed. Lynn was a show skier, but we also had Mike Wendt. I think he's 8 times national trick champion. I think he's in men's 7 now. Don't quote me on that. He could still be in 6. But he is one of our best known skiers in the 3-event community. Gentlemen, ask me some questions. I've been talking way too much.
Okay. If you go back to the 50s and 60s, what did a Min-Aqua Bat ski show look like? I mean, what acts were? How long was it? What acts were involved?
Okay.
Was there an
So I'm
announcer?
going
What did
off
it look
the
like
record
compared
here,
to
and-
like today's ski show?
Matt and I talked about this briefly, and I can't go into details, but I will bring it up because it's sort of funny. The clown act, which was 3 gentlemen, 1 gentleman dressed as a young lady. So here's the bit. The guy and the girl are on their first date. The girl has brought her uncle as a chaperone, and he's had a couple of beverages at the restaurant before he got to the site. Holy moly, we can't
The
do
drunk
that act
uncle bit.
anymore. But we did, again, so a ski show back then, we do almost all of the same acts that we did initially. Again, we have never really gone with a soundtrack. Through the years, we'll throw in some music here and there. We'll throw in a little dance number, but we don't usually have a regular bit. So the show has always been about the 22 acts that you can do. And again, do you have a tumble turn guy? One of the greatest things about the Min-Aqua Bats and one of its pitfalls is that we have a really young club. Now, what happens is that you have some go-getters, but what happens is, and I was explaining this to Matt, is that every year we lose 8 to 10 of our best skiers to age. They're either out of grad school or out of college. They've got to get a real job. So we're always getting new people coming in and bringing that new life. So there's somebody who wants to try helis or wants to try a tumble turn or wants to. So there are, myself, Pat Abraham, Pat Stone, some others that sort of are hanging around trying to teach people what they can do, because literally the Min-Aqua Bats, there's one guy that I know of that's still skiing, that's out of college and grad school, and his doctorate, Dr. Adam Kohler. Now, he's our oldest current regular skier, but the majority, 98% of the club, is either in junior high, high school, college, or grad school. And that's how the show's always been. Now,
What about
going
your
back
boat
to
drivers?
the 50s, what was sort of unique about the 50s is, oh, son of a gun. I'll call you back. That was Lance Krolchek, past president of the Min-Aqua Bats, calling me. Again,
this is
course
real
he is.
life podcast.
he was on a
recording.
fire
Awesome.
call earlier, and again, I'm a fire warden here in town, so I had to answer it. So getting back to the 50s, so the Min-Aqua Bats being, the pretty big draw up here, and again, we talk about, Min-Aqua is it's called the Lakeland region. It's Lakeland School, our high school is called the Lakeland Union High. There's 3,000 ponds, lakes, and streams inside the school district. 3,000. There's no straight roads in Minocqua because it's going around water. In the 50s, one of the great things was to come up here and fish, and you could fish. There were lots of lakes that had never seen a fisherman. Literally. You fish on, And we had some great people that came up here. One of them is President Eisenhower. He spent a lot of time up here growing up. As a youth, he came up here out of Iowa, where his family they did some farming. And after World War I and during World War II, and after World War II, if he could get time away, he would come up here and fish. Now, people are like, he fished all over the Minocqua region. So, and he had a good reason to come up here. He had friends in this region. His campaign manager in 1952 is one of the preeminent landowners up here. He had Cedar Crest, which is his home, and his niece, Howard Young, his niece is Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor learned how to water ski at the Aqua Bowl in 1949 or 50. I wasn't there, but I've seen a picture of it. Larry Bosacki taught her. So President Eisenhower, he would be with different guides and be out on the water. And he told us that he saw 20, 30 ski shows every summer. Every time he was there, they would go.
Is this while?
Huh?
Is this while he was sitting president?
Yeah, but here's the thing: and people are like, well, isn't that sort of when they? If you remember newsreels, they would have on the beginning of the cinema, they'd have 2 to 3 minutes. President Eisenhower was in Wisconsin where they caught a boatload of fish, and here he is with Howard Young. They got 22 fish. They fished all around up here, and people are like, weren't you worried? Weren't they worried? He goes, I actually, Howard Young actually talked about it. He goes, if in the it was the communists were looking to do harm to our president from what it was the Cold War, and so there was a big secret. We can't talk about where Eisenhower is, so we just kept on saying Wisconsin. And here's the kicker: he goes, on the license plate, Minnesota's license plate, it says 10,000 lakes. Wisconsin's got 15,000. We don't even talk about it. They need to put home a moose on the license plate in soda and let it go. So, again, that was sort of the coolest thing ever, was having President Eisenhower. And, again, there's pictures with him that I've sent you with Howard Young, with his wife, on top of the Aqua Bowl. I don't know if I've ever seen water skiers beam that much, but just having the president there, the grin, and there's that eating grin. Yeah, that's them. Yeah. I'm telling you, it gives me, to this day, it gives me chills to know that the president was at our site numerous times and enjoyed the show. So,
can you imagine today's president going 20 or 30 times to Minocqua, Wisconsin to watch the Min-Aqua Bat ski show and to fish? Like, imagine the Secret Service and the stuff. Like, imagine that.
I don't think they could do it today. Again, there'd be too many opportunities with somebody to do harm to our president. Yeah. And again, I'm just leave it alone. I don't even want to put words to it. Any other questions about the 50s and 60s, or you want me to move on to the 70s?
Well, I want to, like, a general question, this might touch into that, is for our audience who is unaware of the Min-Aqua Bats, and we probably should have set this up on the front end, like, northern Wisconsin, one of the most popular tourist towns in the United States, has a long-living water ski show that has become a fixture of that community. Talk about the community support from the beginning and through today. Has that community always wrapped its arms around the Min-Aqua Bats as a fixture and an important part of life in Minocqua?
Almost every home on the chain, there's 7 major lakes in the chain, that the circumference of Minocqua, the island city, it's actually a town. But we've had great support from almost every politician, and again, every group wants to help. We're a 501c3. We help out in the community ourselves, but again, the community has really wrapped our arms around it. Our show site is along what is Park Ave. It's probably one of the nicest water ski sites in the country. Now, it does get a little bumpy out there. We don't have the Badger Open anymore because we've made the place too popular. There's too many boats out there to do a competition anymore. It's not fair to the skiers. We don't want anybody to get hurt. But at that same time, our ski site, they leased it to us for 100 years for $1. They've poured the everything at the town's cost. We haven't paid a dime. We do pay our electric bill. We pay to paint stuff. But for the land, $1 for 100 years. They've really been helpful. Again, and like I said, we're in our 4th generation, and the Min-Aqua Bats as a group, it's not just here. Minocqua is made up, again, and I announced this show 8 to 10 a year for the last 50 years. Usually late in the season, I do the old timers show. But once the announcers go back to high school or college, if I'm here, I'll drop in and do the show. But again, it's the whole, I lost my train of thought there. the Min-Aqua Bats have a long-standing tradition of doing a tryout in the first Tuesday and Thursday of August. We usually let in 10 to 12 members a year, so there's 700 of us in the last 75 years. There are some people that skied for a season, but most people try to be there all through your high school and college if you can.
Adam,
Another
you tried
question.
out.
Brad,
Yeah,
I tried out.
Adam
tried
tried out for the Min-Aqua Bats as you just spoke. Let's talk about this.
Adam, did you ever hear me announce?
I've seen the show many times. I try to get up there at least once a year. I've seen you announce, of course.
Okay.
I think I tried out in '88, and I was probably, I'm guessing if I tried out in '88, I was 12 years old, and
you didn't make it.
Well, you know what? I don't think it was my skiing. I think it was the interview part that because they asked me if I lived up there, and I said no.
Oh boy.
Well, no. Again, so and that is a huge thing here. Is are you going to be able to do your junior membership? People are like, what is junior membership? Everybody, I don't care if you're the best skier. You're expected to come down and learn how the show runs. That means learning how to roll the ropes correctly so they don't knot. What skis go with what acts. Again, and show directions. This is a bunch of young people. So you got to sort of like empower them to say, hey, you got to get and we're all, I'm there, I miss shows again, but I'm trying to always throw in, if I can help, but they have to do it on their own. And that's sort of the biggest difference. But the great part about the Min-Aqua Bats is they've been the feeder for scores of other clubs. What does that mean? Well, once you graduate from Min-Aqua and you take a job down in Phoenix, there's a water ski club down there, or Calabasas, there's a water ski club in Calabasas, California. And we have skiers that have gone out there. Seattle, we've got... At one time, I want to say that we've had skiers in 35 different states. I don't know if that's still true today.
What are some of the big name skiers that you've had come out of the Min-Aqua Bats? I mean, you mentioned Lynn Novakofski, obviously. There's got to be a ton more.
Well, again, a guy who skied with me, John Peary. John was an awesome jumper. Scott Gressens, his sister Sherry Gressens, both skied at SeaWorld, as I seem to remember. Sherry was in the top 5 in the country jumping. My sister Cassie got 4th at nationals collegiately. Again, most people don't realize there's 57 schools that compete in Division I and II water skiing collegiately. The NCWSA. People are like, what? And all the Big 10 or Big 16 have teams. No, yeah, they do. They ski in the summer. You don't hear about it because a lot of them are club teams. Why? Because the insurance can be prohibitive. So Division I are basically south of the Mason-Dixon line. They can ski year-round. I went to Rollins College, one of the top 5 colleges. Cassie went there with me. My sister Jenny went there but wasn't good enough to make the team. Steve Kuhn went down there with me as well from the Min-Aqua Bats. John Peary went to Florida Southern College. Again, when I went to college down there were 17 colleges just in Florida that were competing in water skiing. 17. Now I think there's 3 because of the money that's involved. But the programs, Min-Aqua Bats, again, part of the problem is there's no real money in the pro business. So once you get to a certain age level, I don't want to say we quit because I'm still skiing. I'm still
graduate. They graduate and move on.
Yeah, and again, that's the sad part. Is that again, a lot of our best skiers, if there had been some kind of real money, they could have gone on to bigger and better things. But
you have some skiers that are currently skiing in the game today that our audience knows and is familiar with. They see skiing for other teams that have skied with the Min-Aqua Bats, correct?
Yes. So so Tristan Hansen, Bugsy Hansen, Dolphin Wetsuits. Again, if you know those guys, those are old Min-Aqua Bats.
They're our teammates. Yep.
Yeah. So again, people are like, you skied with those guys. I'm like, well, I announced those guys. I'm older, so but they're
Dan Emerson.
Oh, Dan is one of the best skiers that I know, and I've skied numerous times with Dan. Dan was president up at Plum Skiers. I'm not sure if he's still president at this time. He's got his hands full with his kids, and he does some great musical stuff down in Wausau, his full-time gig. But he and Dr. Adam Kohler transitioned from the Min-Aqua Bats up to Sainer, and I'm happy for him. And again, he comes down, and I see him at the Old Timers show every year. And the Old Timers show is different from our regular water ski show. I try to talk about the skiers, what they've done, their accomplishments, how they've progressed, what other teams are they skiing with, and many of our skiers go on to ski for another team. I don't want to say, I would say at least 40% have skied for another team besides the Min-Aqua Bats. But Dan Emerson, boy, you can't get better. He's one of the best all-around skiers of Min-Aqua Bats. He's in my Min-Aqua Bat top 10. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
100%.
That's awesome. Dan's a great dude. He's actually gotten involved on the NSSA level as one of the Wisconsin region reps. He's involved. He's doing great. Love that. As you look at the kind of evolution of the Min-Aqua Bats over time, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s to present day, how have things evolved, and what does the club currently look like today for people that want to come watch that show?
The club is definitely younger than it was even when I was there 50 years ago as a skier. And I did, I think I did 10 years. I got 2 jackets. After 7 years, you get a second jacket. My first jacket came to about here, so they had to give me a second jacket. When we were in the club back in the 70s, we did shows in 5 states. We did Ontonagon, Plover, Stevens Point, Wausau, Chicago, Minneapolis, Gary, Indiana. We did these road shows, and that helped spread the not the gospel, but spread the love of water skiing. Today's group is not as 3-event oriented as we were. I would say when I was skiing I would say half of us went to state every year, and probably a third would go to regionals. And now we're lucky if we get a handful going to state and or regionals. Again, that being said, we do have George Buchheit, who's out over 100 feet collegiately. Again, that's 5-foot high jump at 32 miles an hour. And we do have some other skiers that are skiing collegiately. George is one of our better jumpers. But again, we know George has only got 2 years left. Or maybe this is his last summer, because what happens is that senior summer, you get an internship, you get a job. All of a sudden you're like, I thought I was going to be here, guys, but I'm not. Mm-hmm. And that's the reality of having a young show. So that's how it's really changed, Adam, for us, is that the turnover, that 8 to 10 people a year can kill us. I mean, not kill us. Some of the best
have you guys, like listening to you talk, have you morphed from a lot of 3-eventers who happen to show ski to more show skiers now that maybe only a smattering actually 3-event ski?
They're a smattering of 3-eventers. It's just, again, and part of it is that we can't do a competition at our own site. We do have a slalom course on the adjacent lake, but it's the Camp Agawak. One of the big things, we don't talk about it, but a huge feeder system for us has always been the camps in town. We had, at one time, there were 20 camps within the school district. I think we're down to 6 now inside the school district. And that really brought a lot of young people that were, they could be skiing at their camp, and we don't actually have to teach them everything. And that's, been part of the evolution is young people wanting to learn how to water ski better is when they come to the Aqua Bowl. Again, I've taught somewhere between 400 and 500 kids to jump The Monday before tryouts, that's the first Tuesday and Thursday of August, I give a free jump clinic and learn how to do hop dock starts and stuff. Like, people are like, why? Literally, you're not supposed to be doing the hop dock starts anywhere. You're supposed to be 100 feet from shore when you start. And so we don't want people to feel like they didn't get a shot at trying it. So we have drivers that come down, and I make sure that I spend some time and try to belay their fears and do a little, envision yourself making the jump. And that's half of it, is if you can get them to believe in their own ability, you can be very successful water ski instructor.
Duke, what, you have a young club. What percentage of the skiers are homegrown, like from the Minocqua area versus like summer home kids?
All right, so as I said, we're in our 4th generation, and I spent every summer and holiday here from the time I was 7. So was I actually from Minocqua? No. But a lot of the kids, once you get up here and become part of the club, you want to come up in the winter because all your friends are. People are like, what do you mean it's so much different. So this is my family. What do you mean? When you go to at home with your real family, your relatives, you go to a wedding or a funeral, you see them once or twice a year, maybe Christmas, 3 times a year. We see each other 3 times a week minimum, because we do 3 shows a week. Then there's, the Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Those are the cleanup days. So the junior members are down there for 3 shows in a row, 3 cleanup days in a row. So they're seeing each other 6 times in a row. The people that I grew up water skiing with are my best friends because I spent 6 days for 4 months of the year with them. And then not only putting on great water ski shows, but then going out and having fun and, just being a team, letting loose. And again, that's part of as you guys know, that's half of all of the ski show is that camaraderie that's built over time of being successful, and then enjoying that moment together. That hey, we put a good show, or we had a great competition.
Speaking of competition, that's a great segue to something I want to ask. Our audience, we've got a very loyal audience of active show skiers that are competing at state and nationals, and some of our younger folks have probably never seen the Min-Aqua Bats at a tournament. Now, the Min-Aqua Bats won. Adam and I talked on the front end of the show. You won the 2nd ever Wisconsin State tournament in 1968. You guys have competed at state over the years, but it's been quite a while. Talk about that, sort of the competition side versus really your community side, which is your bread and butter. And might we see the Min-Aqua Bats show up at Wisconsin State in the near future?
I'm not going to say no. Isabel Boyer, our current president, this is her 3rd year. She's a junior at Madtown. She has done a great job. She's local. Her older brother was our announcer, Luciano, and he's out doing cutting bike trails west of here. I believe that every 4-6 years, there's enough a cohesion of 12 or 14 that all gone at the same time that they're like, we want to go do state this year. But it has to be a group thing. There's no parents. Late in the season, I'll have parents drive. There's no parents driving. These are all young people driving these boats. So people are like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, when your boat driver's 20 and your recording secretary's a senior in high school and she's 17, going to be 18. Potential scam. I'm not picking up. So, we have Lily McEachran, our show director. She, I want to say she's a sophomore in college. All of these young people have their own job. Lily's a vet. Again, but she's all of these kids have a summer job. Every one of them has a summer job and is a student. So it's like, it's hard for me to say, you guys got to do this, to build a team spirit. it's so hard. Nobody wants to be let down. And you guys know how hard it is to get show ready. You got 59 minutes to put on your best show possible. And again, I can remember us going down. I remember us doing it twice that we went, and I think we got third overall. And I want to say it was 78 or 9. I think it was the last year we did it. And again, it was disappointing for us because we thought we were better than that. And again, part of the thing is the president's got to know, is this going to be a bad thing for the club? Because if it goes badly, then people start pointing fingers, and know, once finger pointing starts happening, that's not good for morale.
Well, Duke, so you guys were the first amateur club in Wisconsin, anywhere, and first team in Wisconsin, obviously. You guys have your own museum, right? I mean, I've been there. You have a display in a museum, correct?
Min-Aqua Museum, but there is a lot of Min-Aqua Bat stuff in there.
Yes.
I don't want to, again, there's other stuff in there besides us. It's not just us, but there is a lot of Min-Aqua Bat stuff in there. Again, at some point in time, I've got hundreds of Min-Aqua Bat tapes because I roll video, I produce Adrenaline TV, and they've been, you guys got to play that one clip that put that in there of the splashes, bashes, and crashes at the Aqua Bowl, and you can see a lot of people that I taught to water ski jump in that clip. So, just you gotta have heart, and you got to sort of, you got to live for the moment, and I think that's part of the Min-Aqua Bat charm, is that these young people are putting on the best show they can, and that helps me when I'm announcing. Is like, so each Min-Aqua Bat pays their own insurance bill at the beginning of the summer. Each guy has to pay $150, and girl has to pay $150. So it comes down to, it's about $5 a show that they put on. So not only do they not make any money, but there's $5 out of their pocket so they could ski for you. And that's when I say to them, can you match that $5, maybe even double it? And remember, if you're going to the movie for a family of 4, what are you going to spend? $50, $60, $70? This is 2 hours of fun. Help us. And it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
We just got
Duke,
Isabel just got us new Mercury 300s on the new twin rig, and also a new Nautique.
Nice.
I'm not going to say anything other than that. Thank you, Ed Lee. Shout out to Ed, who helped set some of that up. Again, a guy that skied with me. Again, having 700 alumni across the country in every different, again, and the fun thing is when we do the old timer show, for me, is to actually get to talk about these guys and what they're doing now, and how they've gone from being president to now heading this company up, or doing this project or this. And that's really, that's sort of, they left as a kid. Now as an adult, they're running this. So that's sort of the magic of the Min-Aqua Bats, is that it made all of us think like adults as children, or not children, but as adolescents.
So Duke, for all of our listeners that now want to go see a Min-Aqua Bat show, when does your season start? When does it end? What days of the week do you do shows, and what time?
Okay, so it's Sunday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 o'clock. Now, what does that mean? It starts right at 7 o'clock. Literally, the boats pull in to the second. Boom! Here come two hydrodynes and a Nautique in for. We're going to do jump outs to start the show. Now, the calendar, we like to go on Flag Day, and then we go to Labor Day. What does that mean? The first 2 shows that we have are practice shows. They're before Flag Day. That'll be Sunday and Wednesday. I can't remember. Is Flag Day the 12th? Is that right? So whatever that Friday, the Flag Day is. And then we go until Labor Day. And again, Andrew Molson last year called me, or 2 years ago, called me down and said, Duke, can you come down? We're short an announcer. And I'm like, sure. I get down there. There's 4 of them. So Andrew and Megan McEachran Midas, the two of them, one guy, one girl, they ended up putting 14 acts on. She only skied 3. He skied all 14, so his new nickname is The Show. Because he put on every single act, actually not by himself, because Megan helped, but, you know, in the ballet, she had to come out, and Hello, and she got out there for Saucers as well. But so late in the season, some of the best shows are when we are really short on skiers, because, you know, this guy's got football, and this guy's got this, and this girl's gone, she's already gone back. End of the season, you don't know who you're going to have left. And some of the best shows have happened with very tiny. Again, you wipe out Wednesday, that could happen at any Min-Aqua Bat show. And again, I think that's what makes it even more enjoyable. It's like, and one of my greatest lines is, hey, that guy went down. Were you out ice fishing last year? Take those ice holes with you next year.
Yeah, it's great stuff, Duke. I mean, the legacy, the history, the tradition of the Min-Aqua Bats, a lot of what you say, too, is going to resonate with our audience and their experiences. You guys are doing some, 35-odd shows a summer, every summer for 75, 80 summers of legacy up in Minocqua. To our audience, if you've not seen a Min-Aqua Bat show, you've got to get yourself to northern Wisconsin and check it out. Duke, this has been one of the most informative podcasts we've had. Thank you so much for sharing your history and knowledge of the Min-Aqua Bats. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. It was a pleasure. Again, I can't tell you how much it makes my day to actually get to talk about my friends and my family. The Min-Aqua Bats are our family. We joke about it. Sometimes dysfunctional, but we do get a lot done.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks, Duke.
Well,
it's been great.
Yeah, thank you, Duke.
Thank you, guys.
Adam, that was super fun. Like, just hearing, and some of the stuff that he talked about, like, is not abnormal to us. Some of the stuff and the experiences that they have, we can feel, but their club is so unique, so unique.
Yeah, it's a piece of history that's still thriving. Going back to the 40s after the war, right? And the first amateur club in basically the world. And, the show that they're doing today isn't all that different than the show they were doing 40-some years ago. So that's why people need to go check it out. It's
that history and tradition.
Yeah.
President Eisenhower went regularly to the show. Like, how awesome is that?
Fantastic. People just need to go check it out. It's a great site. There's just a ton of places to eat up there. Just make a day of it to go see a Min-Aqua Bat show. You won't regret it. It's fantastic.
No, that's great stuff from Duke. Thank you to our sponsor today, Flyman Skis. Custom-made jump skis, featherboard swivel skis at affordable prices. Get yours at flymanskis.com.
And, of course, thanks again to all of our listeners. This is Matt and Adam, and this is The Ski Show.
Thank you for listening to The Ski Show, the ultimate show ski podcast with Matt and Adam. If you have questions or ideas for the show, find us on social media or message us at theskishowpodcast@gmail.com.